Hey guys, how you doing? It's Art from Art's Model Trains. Hope you guys are enjoying the videos we're putting out. Please be sure to like and subscribe. And thank you to all my new subscribers. We are closing in on somewhere around 830 subscribers. My goal for this year was to get to 1,000. So thanks guys for subscribing. And please let me know in the comments if you have any other ideas of things you'd like to see me do. But today we're going to take a look at this, the new yard scene that we added to the end of the layout. We added this over the summer, over the last few months. So I'll take you guys off the stand, bring you in close, talk to you a little bit about what it took to put this together. Okay, so for you guys who are familiar with my videos, my layout used to end right about here where that water tower is. What I had done, I guess it was over the winter last year, is I had expanded this layout and put 048 curve down here where there used to be 036. And in doing that, I added a switch track over here, knowing that I wanted to eventually expand further. So this track right here used to end on a short little siding and just long enough to add a couple of boxcars in there. So what I did earlier this year was move all of my power and equipment to a little metal stand under the table. It used to be on top of this cabinet here at the end of the table. So that allowed me to then extend the table out 4 feet over that cabinet. The idea being to take up as much space as I could for table without taking up a lot of basement space. So that's why you see I'm basically the width of that cabinet. So I didn't take up any more space from the boys in the basement. So what we were able to do here was first, I was looking for an engine shed. I had some ideas. I was looking for either the Menards engine shed or this MTH engine shed. And when I saw this one pop up on eBay, it wasn't exactly the model I wanted, and I don't have the model number in front of me. I'll try to look it up and put it on here. But this is the older version of the shed that actually does not work with Fast Track, and I have Fast Track on pretty much my entire layout. So I was hesitant, but just looking at the way this was weathered by the previous owner, I had to go ahead and jump on it. And I looked on the forums and got some ideas. And what I ended up doing is buying transition track for the Fast Track and transitioning to some old tube track inside the shed. And I'll take the roof off in a little while and show you guys what that looks like. And that works perfect and enabled me to use this awesome shed that's already pre-weathered in the yard. So that worked great. Now my plan had always been to try to get 3 tracks in here, and I was able to do that. So I come off the 048 switch and I have 2 060 switches, and I'm second guessing myself on that, but I believe they're 060 switches. And then Fast Track, like I said, to the transition track, and then Fast Track on this outer loop all the way to the bumper. All of the Whisper tracks are wired independently, and I did put switches down here so that I can control each one of them and have them power on and off so that I can actually put conventional engines over here if I'd like to. Right now everything's command that's sitting there, but I do keep the tracks powered off most of the time. And they are powered by the same ZWL handle that powers the whole outside loop on my layout. So in the back here, I have 2 building flats from PGH Train Fanatics on YouTube. I believe his actual website is PTF Designs. I'll look it up and put the link in here for you guys. But he has a whole website full of building flats, and he's actually getting into laser cut wood now and has some laser cut wood items, including some kits for buildings on there. So check it out. They're really great stuff. They come pre-wired for the lights. They are DC powered, so I did add a DC power supply underneath, but we'll get more into that in a minute. Now this water tower here had always been part of my layout. It's something my grandfather had built, but what we did was we added in, and let me turn this on for you guys, a whole hobo scene here. And what I did was I picked up lights from Evans Designs to make the fire pit and added in the hobos and everything, or Woodland Scenics. This was an old caboose that I just took the trucks off and powered, added in some old trucks and things that I had spare. And then what I did was I took this piece of tube track and just wired it in as an accessory so that I could keep the boxcar on that piece of track, not connected to anything else. You'll see that does not actually connect to the main line, and have it play sound. And then what I do is I have a little switch down here connected to it so that I can turn it off either if I don't have that boxcar on there or if the sounds are just making me crazy. And then what I did was I used a little Woodland Scene light that I mounted on the light on the water tower there to give light to the band, so it looks like they're lit up. And if you turn the lights out in the basement, which I'll do in a few minutes, you get a real cool little scene with all these hobos. Oh, I just noticed one of them's fallen over there. I have not glued them down permanently because I've been trying to play around with the setup, so I use like a little stickum to hold them up. And this guy must have fallen over here, but he's the little violin player. Okay, so next up here are the signals. These are signals from We Honest on eBay. And I've bought a bunch of signals from them. I can show you some others later. They're railroad crossing signals and other things like that, some little lights. But they're pretty cheap, pretty good looking. And what I was able to do is look up on the forum how to wire them in to the switch tracks. So if I switch one of these switches now, you'll see the lights change as to which direction the switch is facing. And I have those two on the same switch, and then this switch down here is just on this one light. And I just thought that was a cool little touch, and it also helps me understand where the tracks are aligned when I'm pulling engines in and out of the shed. Okay, working our way down. On the outside here, I toyed around with what I was going to do, and I put a survey on YouTube, and you guys voted for the fence. So I added the Woodland Scenic fence along the edge here with some bushes and some other extra little pieces I had. And then 2 yard lights that I wired in here. And then I wired the 3rd yard light in here facing the actual engine shed itself. And my thought is I might add some Woodland Scenic's little lights right over the engine shed doors there. I haven't decided if I want to go ahead and do that yet, but I figure I got some time to figure that out. And then the final big step I did was I extended my backdrop. So when I had originally finished the upper loop, I added a backdrop from Train Junkies that stretched the whole, at the time, 12 feet down here. And it ended right behind that factory there. And what I did was I called up Train Junkies, and they were able to send me an extension that I was able to blend in perfectly and bring down into the corner and wrap around the wall here, so that I was able to extend my backdrop, and it's one continuous backdrop all along, and now it adds up to over 16 feet of backdrop. And I have to say, Train Junkies was fantastic to work with. Emailed them quickly, reasonably priced, and they were able to print exactly the dimensions and everything I wanted, as opposed to some other places were making me buy in 12 and 8 foot increments. Okay, so I pulled the roof off of the engine shed so you guys can see it now, and what you can see is how I transitioned from the fast track to the tube track. And what I did was I laid some cork bed under it to give the right height, and then just screwed it down, and it comes all the way through. And then I was able to add some details inside with little figures, cleaning the trains, loading the trains, oiling the trains, whatever they're doing here. And then it carries straight through and then out the back of the shed here. And that's where I have, you can see the wires coming into the tube track. My plan is to build some sort of little bumpers here. I had done one over here using Gargrave's rail ties. I'm going to do the same thing on those other 2 tracks. I just don't have enough ties right now to finish that. Okay, and then the last detail I added was actually not on the table. In my track lighting, I added another head, and I used Philips Hue color light bulbs, so that way I could aim that head on the yard scene over here and illuminate it. You know, right now it's just set to a soft white, but I can make it any color I want, which is, I just really like those bulbs because you can set it to like a nighttime view with blue and everything, so it really looks great. Let me go ahead and kill the lights to the basement, put the camera back on so you guys can see what it looks like at night. Okay, I have the lights shut off now. What I actually did was I left the track lighting on over the table just to give it a little bit of light, but you can see now that spotlight coming through on the band there. The caboose lights up pretty good. The buildings in the back throw off a lot of light. And then the spotlights or the yard lights on the engines look fantastic. And then you get the lighting inside the shed itself. Let me see if I can do this without throwing too much of a shadow here. You can see the lighting on the inside of the engine shed there works pretty good too. You can kind of see the figures through the side there. Pull you guys back so you get a good view of it. I have to say, I never really was into switching or thought I was into switching engines, but it is fun. And I have to say, keeping the engines on the table as opposed to on a shelf makes me switch them out more. Even when I have to bring them around the table and like hand lift them to another track, it's much easier than having to go and get them off the shelf and carry them over to a track. So it really is a time save, and it enables me to run different engines more often. Thanks guys for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe. And once again, thank you all for joining the channel. We're climbing towards 1,000. Like I said, that was my goal to get there at the beginning of the year, to achieve 1,000 by December, and I think we're going to make it. So I really appreciate all the support. Once again, let me know if there's any other things you guys want me to do videos on or whatever. I'm just throwing some stuff together as I think about it, and sharing what I've got going on with my layout. And I love hearing back in the comments what you guys are working on. It's a lot of fun, and I hope when I'm in York in October, I get to meet some of you guys.